Hi, my name is Chet here from Avion Technology. We are a Chicagoland-based digital agency. We have been around for the last 15 years and we've completed more than 1,000 successful projects. We work in essentially in three areas. One is taking product ideas and going from idea to market. Number two is working with a lot of digital agencies as their programming partner. And the third, of course, is working with small businesses for digital marketing. So today I'm going to actually talk about digital agencies. One of the things that we do at Avion is we help boutique digital agencies which are in the range of 500,000 to about $2 million dollars worth of annual revenue. We act as a white labeled programming partner for a lot of these digital agencies. Most of these digital agencies are typically 5 to 10 employees, and a lot of times and especially in these times, when there's such a disruption in the labor market, they actually struggle with things like workforce augmentation, and often they have a pipeline of projects that they don't have enough people to help complete. So what we essentially do is we work with these boutique digital agencies to deliver projects for them as outside vendors. So today I'm going to talk about the top tools that we use to kind of help a lot of these digital agencies. If you are a digital agency in the 500,000 to 2 million or even 3 million kind of annual turnover, take a look at this video. I'm going to share a couple of tools with you. See if any of these tools make sense, and if you're already using a couple of these tools, great. If you're not, check them out on the internet. They'll definitely add value to your business. So first, I'm going to start with on the UI UX side. So the latest, of course, is Figma. I used to use a tool called Envision a few years back, but now we've ported over to Figma. So along with Adobe Illustrator, Figma is the tool that is now most common for the UI UX side or the front-end design side. As far as project management goes, you have the classic, which is Basecamp. You also have Asana and Slack. Since I am from Chicago, Basecamp has a lot of emotional value for me, so I still use Basecamp. I still like a lot of features on Basecamp. But there's Asana and there's Slack as well. So Slack, of course, is for project communication. But take a look at these. So one of the things in the web design industry, one of the areas where a lot of projects go haywire and a lot of actually relationships kind of go haywire, client relationships go haywire, is actually towards the end, right? Because a moving target really in our industry is what constitutes a completed project, right? Clients will often say that, oh, this needs to be perfect. Now, what does it mean to be perfect? Perfection in our industry is an absolute moving target, because a website is it's not a monolith, right? There's so many different things which make up a website. You have your server, you have your third-party tools, your API calls, you have so many things which go into making a website. You have your CSS, you have your JavaScripts, and some not all of them always work together in tandem, right? So something breaks down. So I have seen in my experience that most projects kind of get stuck in that final phase, what you call the proverbial crossing the T's and dotting the I's phase, when projects kind of get stuck, and then a lot of acrimony sets in. Clients typically want perfection. They say, I want this done exactly the way I envisioned it, and we as digital partners say, that's being idealistic, but realistically, it's not possible for me to achieve perfection. So how do you get out of this situation? I have seen that to get you past the finish line, a really good tool is Trello, right? You create Trello buckets. So you log all issues in one bucket, and then you have one bucket for work in progress, and then one bucket for testing, and then one bucket for completion. So Trello works really well. If your project is more complex, or if you're dealing with, let's say, a product development kind of a scenario, Jira actually works very well. So like I said, Figma for UI UX, Asana, Basecamp or Slack for project communication, Trello and Jira for issue management, right? To get you past the finish line. Now, once you're past the finish line, there's a couple of things. First is testing. We use a lot of Selenium these days for automation testing to run test scripts. So definitely take a look at that. Selenium, especially their browser plugin based tool, is very easy. Something that even a non-techie can use. So look at Selenium for for unit testing. The second one is Load Runner, which is a tool that we use to load test an application. So that's again something that I would definitely recommend that you take a look at. Is Load Runner. Another very useful application is something called Crashlytic. So it's Crashlytic. What it essentially is it's crash analytics. So when you have your apps in beta, like in test flight, or in Android, a lot of times you want to get the crash data, right? When is this app crashing? Where is it crashing at? For which user is it crashing? For what device is it crashing? Because then you can take all that data and then improve it in the next iteration. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at Crashlytic as well. So this is on the testing side. So now we talked about the UI UX, we talked about project management, we talked about issue resolution, we also talked about testing. Once all of this is done, these days software doesn't the waterfall process of software development is now passe. No one does that anymore. Usually it's agile, because everyone knows perfection is not possible in this industry, right? So you take a product and you put it out in the market, and then you try to keep perfecting it over time. To do that, make sure your developers are using Git, because that's how you're going to keep version control. If your development team is not using Git at this point in time, that's something that that's a huge drawback, because a lot of issues in software actually happen when multiple people collaborate on a project, and a lot of regression issues happen, right? So DevOps is not really optional anymore. DevOps has now become the standard. And so if you're using any kind of a DevOps process, you need version control. And if you're using version control, you need Git or Bitbucket. The next thing I want to talk about is something called microservices. Again, just like testing and version control had a paradigm shift because of these tools, we also have microservices, which is a new concept. Within microservices, essentially what you do is you take a website and break it into several components. And what that does is that even if one part of the website goes down, the rest of your site does not go down. And that happens because of a microservice architecture. Most of the biggies, Netflix, Amazon, eBay, all of them use microservices these days, because like I said, some developer working somewhere remotely kind of uploads some code without testing it, and that causes your entire website to crash. That's not an ideal scenario. So you want to use microservices. Now, how do you use microservices? Well, you use containers. You use a tool called Kubernetes and Docker, right? So write them down again. These are containers for creating a microservices infrastructure. So Docker and Kubernetes. So now everything is in place, right? What do you do after that? Well, you need a server. So as far as server goes, look at AWS. It has auto scaling, which is huge. And within AWS, there's something called EC2 for your server requirements. There's S3 for storage, and of course there's Lambda for serverless code. Again, the benefit of AWS is you do not have to monitor the usage. So auto scaling, huge. You don't let's say you're running an e-commerce store, you don't have to call up your server company and ask for more space. AWS manages it for you. So again, on the server side, take a look at AWS. And lastly, before I forget, Zoom for video conferencing. After the pandemic, as more and more workers become remote, as America and the rest of the world moves on to a distributed workforce, Zoom is becoming the weapon of choice. So definitely, take a look at Zoom. I also use GoToMeeting. It has kind of worked well for me. I mean, I've had my ups and downs with it, but so far so good. So these were a couple of tools that we use internally at Avion. There's other tools we use as well, but these tools kind of form our core. I have seen that using a lot of these tools really puts us in a good place as far as productivity is concerned, efficiency is concerned, backups are concerned, security is concerned. So definitely take a look at these. If you have any thoughts, please send me an email. I would love to know more about what you do and your ideas. And these are my coordinates, so give us a shout. If you like this video, press like. If you want to subscribe, press subscribe. And if you want to share it, please share it. The goal of these videos really is to take specific kind of areas within technology and make them simple. What has happened in technology in the last 10-15 years, that the rate and the speed at which things are moving is so fast that for a lot of even tech people, I mean, forget lay people, but for even a lot of tech people, this speed is like, it's challenging, right? So we do these little videos to kind of, it's like almost dipping your foot you're dipping your toes in a swimming pool, just to kind of get you introduced to a couple of these big concepts. Of course, if you want to know more about these, you can Google it. You can also, most of these tools that I've mentioned, they have a free version, so you can play around with it. So definitely do that. If you are a digital agency owner, I know you must be struggling with issues like profitability, margins, efficiency, productivity. I know all digital agency owners struggle with how to finish projects and get paid. And like I said, some of these tools will definitely help you. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you're a digital owner here anywhere in the Midwest or anywhere in the US for that matter, give us a shout. We would be happy to discuss any potential project with you. In the meanwhile, today is Friday, so I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you on the other side. Chet here from Avion Technology. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.